Welcome into the Carbonite Chronicles, presented by the Hyperspace Podcasting in the 25th century. This show is dedicated to talking about, reviewing, and celebrating the Disney Plus mega hit, The Mandalorian. Guys, we got a two-parter today, but before we get started, a little intros. My name's Matt.
I'm Jared.
I'm Brian.
I'm Lindsay.
The gang's all here.
Man, two parts today.
2 parts.
We did take last week off, but tonight we catch up with 2 episodes. Chapter 20, The Foundling. Chapter 21, The Pirate.
It's getting heavy now. But before we begin, if you are not watching The Mandalorian, I don't know why you're listening to this podcast.
Yes, stop listening.
But if you haven't seen the episodes, I'm just going to warn you now. We're going to spoil everything.
Okay, guys, today I have the spoiler VHS. I know that we're pressed for time. We got 2, so I pre-recorded everything on a VHS, and nice. This should go really good. Okay, let me put this in over here. All right, and press play. Man, I can't get it right, Matt. I can never get it right. I don't know.
It sounds like you in the Star Trek simulator in 1993.
Motion is the key. Remember, the captain is the most important role in the story.
Look, you're both fat, washed up, and over the hill, so be quiet.
Now that our new captain and his fellow graduates are on the bridge, I can feel my nervous stomach acting up. I have to keep reminding myself that this is only a training mission.
I'm Captain Jerry. I am pleased to serve as your commander.
Enterprise targeted, sir. Prepare fire. Wait, you're not Kirk?
No, but I am Joseph Potnikas.
Okay, well, we'll just fast forward that junk. And here's the real spoiler alert. Okay, and hit it. Okay, that's better. Sorry, I just thought I'd try something different, and it didn't work still. So, for people who are listening to the show, I'm holding a VHS tape. That's prop comedy.
Exciting 2 episodes, guys. Momentum kind of got kicked up a little bit.
A little bit, yeah.
Yes.
I mean, we last when last we were together, Dr. Pershing had his own episode, much to many people's confusion. But I think we're sort of back on the rails now, and it feels like we have some momentum.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, sorry, I was just going to say. So we'll try to go in order here, but if we skip around, please bear with us. But we'll start with our thoughts on The Foundling. And Lindsay, give me your high level thoughts on this episode before we dump into it.
So I was trying to remember earlier what happened, and the biggest thing that came to my mind was, I know they have to be in secret, but why do they live there?
Why do they live in the land of the lost?
The Mandalorian, they live they've got water dinosaurs on their front door. They've got flying dinosaurs that apparently steal and eat their children all the time. I'm like, well, move somewhere else. Oh my God. So that's, because and then the entire episode, they don't have ships. That's why Bo-Katan has to go rescue them, which is all fantastic. I loved everything that happened. But I was like, they have to be secret. They don't have to be in danger all the time.
Yeah,
I don't know why they live there.
And what's with the wildlife there? They have it out for that kid. I mean, that wildlife has it out for that kid.
Something about that kid, I tell you, it's his lisp. No, it's not. I'm just
Maybe he smells funny or something. I don't know.
Well, because it was the crocodile turtle that tried to eat him,
right?
And then this flying raptor thing,
the Shriekhawk.
Shriekhawk, that's it. Tried to make a meal of him, and I gotta know, was the Shriekhawk carrying him around in some sort of pouch in his throat for 2 days?
I wondered the same thing.
Or something.
I thought the same thing.
Because he comes up and just vomits him back up.
Well, to be fair, look, if Boba Fett could survive in the Sarlacc in his suit
But he was in there for a couple hours tops.
Well, I don't know what to tell you. Maybe the Shriek-Hawk doesn't have as much digestive juices in
Why?
its gullet.
Why didn't it just feed it to its babies right away? Like, why did anyone think
Well,
that kid was
had to
gonna
digest
survive?
it, then wait for it, I guess.
Regurgitate it.
But we'll get to
Yeah.
that. We'll get
Maybe
to
you're
that.
right.
I'll tell
You
you.
know
So
what? I buy that. You know what? I buy that.
okay. We open up and it's kind of like a little training party out on the beach, which is great. Right, enticing all the turtle crocs to come in and play.
You know what's really cool is I've been going back watching some of the old Clone Wars episodes dealing with Mandalore, and there was a scene almost identical to that, except for location, where Mandos are just sitting there fighting each other in practice.
Yeah, I remember that stuff, and it's cool to see. But the first question that came to my head was, as we've pointed out, they're in the land of the lost in a cave, right? So these kind of like training exercises, I'm like, where are they getting all the ammunition? Where are they getting the fuel? Like it's not like you can just go down to the store. Like, what's the armorer making all this stuff out of like reserves and stuff? I'm like,
well, I don't know. Well, she definitely has stuff that she's making in there, but look, I don't know. When you start questioning where they get their ammunition and
I'm
all
just
this
being
stuff,
nitpicky here. I did like Grogu.
Apparently, they do like
joining...
shooting at the water.
Yeah,
which would to me stir up stuff that's in the water.
Well,
which,
I think the little like nitty gritty of like where do they get that, like that stuff doesn't bother me. It's when it's like the inciting incident that of the plot of the whole episode that's making me go, well, wait a minute though. Wait a minute. Like, why do they stop living there? Move away.
Yeah,
exactly. Or don't leave the cave so much.
Well,
I don't know.
We'll get there
Do
because that's maybe
so
that's in their future.
There was a little fake out too. It was kind of funny. So we see Grogu sitting on the beach playing, it looks like he's using the Force to move rocks around. And while the others are training behind him, and then Din Djarin comes and says, "Nope, you're gonna be a part of this. You're a foundling now. You got to get in the mix." And when he stands up, they all turn out to be like little crabs and run away.
Cool.
So I thought
crabs.
That's what I thought, that he was using the Force.
But we see Grogu get in the mix with what's the
Ragnar? His name's Ragnar.
Ragnar, of course it is. With Ragnar's son and
no, it's Ragnar is the kid's name.
Who's the
Paz Vizsla.
Paz Vizsla is his dad.
Thank you. And what's he got? Like little paintball darts that they're tagging each other with, and Grogu, of course, goes all Force on him and does a few Yoda flips. And
well, he looks so. It is kind of cute when he's just sitting there getting shot with like a paintball, and he's like,
go poo poo. And the kid was all super cocky about this. I mean, he was like, I'm gonna wipe the floor with this little kid.
Well, at first he's like, do I have to do this?
Right.
He was like reluctant, like, this isn't a challenge.
Yeah.
And then, he busts out some Luke Skywalker flips. And, Din Djarin says, I didn't teach him that. So we see Grogu sort of tapping into a bit of his Jedi training.
Yeah.
Which was interesting.
Then all hell breaks loose.
Yep.
You think these guys would have some kind of early warning system?
Nope.
It seems really difficult to not see a creature like that coming.
Yeah, I agree.
Like, hey, there's like a dragon. Maybe we should get back in the cave.
Right. They're making all these toy weapons. They could make some like turrets. Some motion activated turrets, maybe.
Or maybe even I don't know, find a big enough cavern inside where they could be doing these exercises.
But the Shriek-Hawk comes down and takes Ragnar with him, and we see it's a very fast reptilian bird.
Oh yeah, he's out of there, man.
He's gone.
Bo-Katan hops in her ship. All the jetpacks take off, and that thing is gone.
And they chase the Shriek-Hawk far enough where everyone who has a jetpack on runs out of fuel. And,
yes.
Which that's interesting
and
too.
Possibilities is like this happens every time.
Every time they're like, "Oh God, they did it again."
Well,
and they don't like try to like land before that happens either. They're just like, "We're gonna ride it out and then fall."
I think
I saw
they
it.
surely have some sort of heads-up display that says
Your fuel is
you're almost out of gas.
Yeah.
'Cause,
Like,
we all
whatever.
have that in our
get to lower
cars.
altitude.
So I don't.
Yeah.
But a part of me really sort of liked that because it was like, well, in some cases they just would have kept flying and flying forever, but
Right.
this was like a really kind of strange little real world thing. Like, oh
Yeah.
crap, well we're out of gas, and okay, well crap, where's the gas?
Guess he's
Yeah.
dead.
Is there a is there a 7-Eleven there that could refill?
That's what I'm saying. They got to go back. Then they
Right.
got to. Well, Bo-Katan obviously gives them a lift back, and
Yes.
she formulates the plan to go get the Foundling back.
Which
It's a moment where she's really taking a leadership role. I mean, she's like new to the
Yeah.
group, but she's taking a really strong leadership role by
Yeah.
wanting to go after the kid.
Yeah.
I mean,
I
that
haven't
was
watched. Oh, sorry.
no. I'm just saying that was her role. I mean, she was a leader, and she
Yeah.
led Mandalorians into combat many, many times in the Clone Wars, and she's back kind of in her element a little bit. A little foreshadowing for the next episode, I'd say.
And I think they do
Yeah.
a good job of showing that to people who didn't watch the Clone Wars, like me, who are like, I kind of know what she was about, but it's just showing like, hey, these people are kind of just people who hide and hang out. They don't really do this much anymore, or except try to go rescue their kids and fail to do so. But
Yeah,
then
the Mandalorians weren't a shadow people. They were,
this group has been though,
right,
Mhm.
exactly.
right? That's and so she's coming in like, well, this is what you got to do, and then they just let her do it because they're like, oh my god, someone taking charge, great, love that.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, please, please. But
The other
I have
Foundlings
to-
are like, thank God.
well, I was, I took issue sort of as a parent. I don't think I'd be cool just hanging out for a day or two, like while if my kid was being fed to a bunch of dinosaurs. I mean, I'd probably be like, okay, so let's go.
Like,
And I know that-
we don't need to sleep.
Sure.
I'm too wired up. My kid could be
We're
in
gonna
at
have
any
a-
moment. Let's
gonna
go.
have-
Well, that wasn't even it. You're right. But like when they finally do go, they really don't even make it all the way. They make
Well-
it to a part where they like have to like sleep for the night and have like dinner.
they camp at the base of the stone tower or wherever, and
she's
they're
right
sitting there,
there,
like,
maybe.
at a campfire eating their pork and beans.
Let's tell
and-
stories and maybe he'll be alive by tomorrow.
And it's like, no, I mean, if we're here and we're right up there where we need to go, let's just do this. But I understand there's
They
it's
had
in
to
the-
give a
it's the
little
script.
more. Right. They had to like focus on her not taking her helmet off and bring that up again.
Which I
Yeah,
like.
but it answered
I
a
do too.
question I think we've all been asking.
Yes.
How do they eat?
What do they do? How do they eat in front of other people?
How,
They don't.
How do they have kids?
Well, you
Well-
don't have to have your helmet off for that.
I guess not.
I bet- yeah,
but
that'd be
some
really-
like they leave their helmet on.
When Bisla said he has
Yeah.
a kid, that was his kid.
I
I was
do.
like, oh, so they're, huh.
I mean,
don't know about that.
as a quick side note, that might not be a bad policy too with some of these people. But
What?
let's just exactly.
Hey, honey, come in here.
Maybe we should just leave the helmet on tonight.
Incredible.
It's time.
Incredible.
Just saying, might be better for some people to leave the helmet on.
That's some prop comedy there. I'm sorry.
That was real problem.
But yeah, so they give her the honor of staying by the fire because she's the leader of the war party. So everybody disappears into their own little nook and section to go take their helmets
Which-
off and eat.
I thought was an interesting detail.
I agree.
It's always interesting to hear more. And I would be surprised if there aren't other exceptions, sort of like what we were just talking about. Like, if you have a spouse or somebody that, maybe there's, exceptions for things. Because
Yeah, the mask has to
Don't
be
we-
hard when someone's
so-
choking and you got CPR to do. What do you do?
I don't know, Matt.
You
Who
let him
knows?
die.
This is the way.
Listen, I thought you were, never mind. I thought you were talking about something else.
Jeez, what the heck? God,
I was like, wow, you are just making this completely inappropriate.
no, you took it to that level, not me.
I did.
I can't say the F-bomb, but this.
But Matt can talk about autoerotic asphyxiation.
Well, it sounds like you.
I wasn't
were
talking about that. I was
know,
talking about him.
I'm sorry, my shame.
I was just talking about having a meal and getting choking on it.
Listen. So, okay, I'm sorry. So, but Paz Vizsla.
Yeah.
Now, the name of this episode is The Foundling.
Right.
Paz Vizsla reveals that Ragnar is his son. His biological son? Or his adopted son as a foundling? He doesn't specify. And, we've seen Din Djarin sort of use the term son on and off for Grogu for a while. And Bo-Katan calls
him his dad.
He goes, your dad.
Yeah.
So I'm just curious. I'm wondering if Ragnar is his biological son.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe not.
It's not addressed, but
maybe that's how they all have kids, is they adopt kids because none of them take off their own.
That's
no matter what.
That's true.
And
That
I
could
feel
be.
like- Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
No.
I was
sorry.
just saying.
I was
Matt was just talking about choking.
I was going to say this. You could have called this the Foundlings episode.
Yeah.
The way it plays out.
Oh yeah. Well, what foundling are they talking about? Because we haven't really
Exactly.
dipped into to sort of the juicy center of the episode yet.
Right.
So there's another foundling that we learn about in this episode,
Mm-hmm.
and it is Grogu. And we are transported back to a very familiar setting for these Star Wars television shows. This is the third time we've seen, well, in live action, the third time on a Star Wars TV show, we've seen some version of Order 66 playing out.
Mhm.
So let's talk about this.
Yeah, I mean, it's funny. The big reveal, which we'll talk about here. I didn't even realize who it was until after the episode.
I didn't.
Oh
either.
yeah.
I saw the internet told me.
I
Oh, yeah.
recognized him, and I was like, I can't think of his name. Who is this guy? I know I should know who this is.
Yeah. Well, if he would have started talking like we all know he can talk, then that would have just settled it
terrible.
immediately.
Oh,
So Grogu is
Lisa knows who that is.
Grogu's being kind of
Grogu.
he's being ferried out of the Jedi temple. I don't know by
Yes.
what her name was, but she didn't make it.
No, he's in an elevator with a dead body too.
Right.
Which
And,
is
Yeah, they don't. I kept waiting for them to reveal that in the shot again, and they don't. I was like,
So Grogu makes it to the top of the temple, and he's greeted by a new Jedi who is familiar to the Star Wars community. Wasn't familiar to me until I looked it up because I'm not used to seeing the guy's face.
Mhm.
But was it Ahmed Best?
Ahmed Best.
Who was, of course, famously played by Jar Jar Binks. And,
Yes.
He does have a role in episode 2. He's like a bar patron when Obi-Wan's in there.
oh.
Yeah,
So
he's
is
got
Anthony
his.
Daniels as well.
I
Yeah,
think,
they have their faces.
if I'm not
uncovered.
mistaken, I think he was. I could be wrong, but I thought he was also the Mace Windu in the first one.
No, I know
Phantom
what you're
Menace.
talking about. That was like a body double that
Yeah.
that was
thought
there
that
for
was him.
Sam Jackson, but he shows up in the shot and it's clearly
Not him,
not
yeah.
Samuel Jackson.
Right.
But
So we see some pretty great lightsaber action with this Jedi protecting Grogu.
Kelleran Beck.
Kelleran Beck.
Ooh, Kelleran.
Mhm.
That's a cool name.
It's a good name.
You know,
I didn't realize that was.
and he is
One of the
getting
cool-
some major internet love right now for this. He
Oh,
is like
yeah.
it's a TikTok like superstar right now. This whole scene, and it kind of makes you a little emotional to watch it when they put all the music to it.
Well-
when all those clone troopers show up on that platform, and Jared can relate to this, he chucks one of those guys off the top of that Jedi temple, and Jared and I make a living doing this playing Battlefront.
Yes. Well, you could, certain characters in that game. We always like to play on Cloud City because there's lots of balconies and stuff.
Oh yes.
And you could just go up if you're playing as Luke, Yoda, Anakin, Obi-Wan, Darth Maul,
yeah.
Kylo Ren. They all have the ability to force push people like off into oblivion.
Yeah.
And that's how we spend too many of our nights
Oh, that's funny.
doing that.
That's awesome.
But
yeah, you can do that in Jedi Fallen Order too.
yes, you can.
Like, phew, phew.
You're like, whoop.
Yeah. And I do like to throw them off and stuff.
Some interesting details here. It's the clone troopers are once again voiced by Tamora Morrison. I looked in the credits, and they do. D. Bradley Baker. A lot of us have become used to him doing the clones in the show. But it does lend a movie sort of credibility when Tamora Morrison comes back and does the voices of those guys. So he steals a speeder. I guess he takes one of the clone troopers' speeders, which conveniently has a sidecar. So young Grogu can.
At least
sit
it wasn't
in.
like
that is
a
pretty
Vespa.
convenient.
Yeah. At least it wasn't like a.
Who was sitting in that before?
It was like a gunner. Another clone trooper was in there.
Yeah. I think there were a couple of them that were like that, though. It wasn't the only one.
Good.
Yeah.
That's a little more.
Because they all came in. I believe those. Excuse me for a moment. They were called bark speeders.
Yes.
Bark speeders.
That's right.
But so Kelleran and Grogu, they make their escape in the skies of Coruscant, and we get a great shot of the temple on fire. It looks great.
It's a great shot.
And then some clone gunships come up behind him and start chasing him, and we get. They put their money on the screen in this episode because, everything looked really good. I thought.
Yeah, it's a great sequence.
Yeah. Hey, but we got to see The Rock again.
Mm-hmm.
I thought
like
the
that.
sole purpose of the chapter or the third episode of this season, I thought, oh, there's the purpose of that, just to introduce us to The Rock.
You're probably right. Yeah, we saw the tip of the mountain.
I told Brian I'm also going back and rewatching the Mandalorian Clone Wars episodes. In one of those episodes, they're back on that plaza on Coruscant, and it looks exactly the same as the Mandalorian. And this was from like 10 years ago.
Mm.
Wow,
which,
that's cool.
Yeah. But anyway,
so he gets him ferried to a friend of theirs to get Grogu out. We don't hear about who the friend is, but we do see what kind of ship he goes away in.
Yes, we do.
So Grogu's put in a Nubian.
Nubian, we have lots of that. A Naboo starship.
Yeah, like a royal starship.
So who on Naboo do we know that's around that could help out at this point? This is Order 66.
So we know Padme is at her and Anakin's. No,
no,
I don't know.
Right.
She's still on
their way. They might be on their way to Mustafar right now.
I'm not sure. It's hard to, but I think
she's.
I don't think she has any part of this.
No,
because she's in their apartment or.
Let's connect some visual dots in that episode.
Okay.
Ahmed, what's his name?
Ahmed Best.
Ahmed Best, who played Jar Jar, says a friend is basically helping us out.
You think it's Jar Jar?
I think it's Jar Jar Binks, because Jar Jar is the senator of Naboo at this point.
Yes.
Who has also kind of set all of this inadvertently in motion by
he goes, I want to immediately give emergency powers.
Exactly. So
that's a pre-chancellor.
So Jar Jar is he is somewhat responsible for all this happening. At least the last piece of it being put in motion. So it could be Jar Jar Binks that got him out. Now, I have not read the expanded universe that much, but I did hear that Jar Jar's character winds up on Naboo as a homeless Guggen, entertaining kids like a clown, and people kind of know who he is, but they don't really reference him ever by name. They just call him the clown, and everybody kind of hates him because they all kind of know he's responsible for a lot of this. I'm wondering if in The Mandalorian we're going to see a Jar Jar Binks at some point.
Well, I'm curious as if we're going to go back to this time period.
I think we are. I think we have to find out how he has only progressed this far in his life because he's obviously not 50 years old. I think he was carbonite frozen. I think we're going to see that.
Well, but they are greeted at the ship, which is the same ship that Padme flew in Attack of the Clones. It's the same model. And she's greeted there with a bunch of Naboo guards because they're dressed
Could be the
like
Queen.
It might be.
Could be.
Queen of Naboo.
Because all those guards are wearing the stuff that was from the Phantom Menace, the leather,
ornate stuff.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's definitely, I think somebody from Naboo is helping them. So, will we show up on Naboo next week?
I don't know.
I don't know.
We do head back to the nest in the present.
Yes.
Where the nest they finally make it to the top of the mountain, and the nest appears to be empty. So they scan for some heat signatures, and they find some, and they kind of dive in to try and get to the source of the heat signature, and they find that there's what?
3 younglings.
3 youngling birds. Very hungry birds as big as they are.
And then, as if on cue, the mama raptor comes in and vomits up Ragnar after 2 days.
I mean, we did see a helmet, a Mandalorian helmet, a youngling helmet, or foundling helmet in the nest, assuming it's been feeding. Which is kind of creepy because you'll find out reason why, but the birds have a taste for young Mandalorians. But but yeah, the bird vomits the kid up after 2 days of being wherever the heck it was.
And it's a legit animal vomit. It's the
That looks just like it.
I know.
Oh no.
And so it's not like she just was like had him in her mouth,
Right.
She had to spit him up, which is, and that's one thing that I sort of was like, what? Has he been in her mouth for a day and a half or whatever?
That's what I'm like, come on.
But then again, we're talking about a show with,
So a little side note pause. I shared a video with Jared earlier in the week that apparently the Shriekhawk is somewhat of a sacred bird in Mandalorian lore, which is funny because I guess it's on different planets because apparently the Mandalorians, they've painted like the horns of the Shriekhawk on some of their helmets. Some of the clone troopers adopted that were stationed on Mandalore. They started wearing the hawk emblems on their armor. So, and I guess they have ridden them before, the Shriekhawks, so they're part of Mandalorian, like pre-jetpack culture. They were riding Shriekhawks. So,
well,
they're going to raise these babies to ride them around later.
Okay, let's talk about that. When those things came stumbling out of the ship, I was like, is this some kind of like one of those clown VW bugs keep coming out of it? Like,
what are they going to do with these things? How are they going to domesticate them?
They're standing there like with a giant stake, like on a piece. They're like, "Come on!" It's like, well, what are you guys? You gonna feed your kids to them to keep them growing? What are you gonna do?
The calorie requirement of these.
I know.
Oh my god!
Well, I didn't see many kids around in the next episode.
That's what I'm saying.
The
kids have to like, oh no, and they have a taste for the young ones. So like I don't know. They're bringing these giant birds into their stove.
Well, I think they just took on a lot more problems.
Of course, before that happened, they saved Ragnar, or that's his name, right?
Ragnar. Yeah.
Ragnar.
In a very emotional, touching, get over here moment.
Yes. That's true. So Ragnar's safe, and but
they kill the big bird, and that's why they gotta adopt the babies.
Yeah, which gets eaten by another water beast.
Yeah, the turtle croc comes back and eats them.
So they get the birds back, and we can debate, and then when we talk about the next episode, what happened with the birds.
Because they're not to be seen.
No, but but was it the end of the episode where Bo-Katan had a conversation with the armorer about because they're
seeing the mythosaur,
they're making a new piece of armor. So
we skipped the Grogu gets his giant chest plate.
Oh yes. Grogu got his first piece of armor, which is huge. It looks like
It looks like a big like Flavor Flav.
Flavor Flav.
medallion.
Thank you.
Like, it's pretty big, and it fits over his little mithril
Yeah.
shirt.
The
It was
armor
pretty
asks
cute.
Bo-Katan. She has to replace her shoulder armor, so she asks what signet she wants.
If it's appropriate, if she takes the mythosaur.
The mythosaur
She's
belongs
like-
to all
she's like-
Mandalorians.
Yeah, she's like, anybody, any Mandalorian can have that, sure.
Yes.
That kind of
But she-
foreshadows something that happens towards the end of the next episode too, which is kind of cool when you really think about it.
Well, it was interesting because she says, I saw a mythosaur, and she's like, okay,
Oh, she goes, that is a noble vision.
that's a noble
Yeah.
vision, and obviously that stuck with her, as we find out later.
But she's like, well, because I think the armor thinks she's speaking like metaphorically or like a vision that she's had.
Yeah.
And so she's just like, well, what if it was real? And the armor is just like, this is the way. That's you just say that.
I love the armor so much. She's so like.
She's very mysterious.
yeah,
Yeah.
she's a cool character.
very calm, but very. I don't know. I like her.
Authoritative and strong.
Yeah.
Yeah. And
But she's just chill all the time, but like you take her seriously, she's like, "You're banished. It's fine.
and she
This
will
is what you
whip
can do.
she
Get
will whip
unbanished."
your ass.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, that was
Yes, she
as
will.
we
This
do see.
episode was great.
She has proven herself in the past in that area, but
She will hurt somebody.
Yeah,
yes.
she's impressive.
So that's kind of where we leave it with the Bo-Katan, like just sitting there like, and this goes along with the next episode too, but I don't know what I think about what Bo-Katan's doing now, because I initially thought, oh well, she's up to something. She's playing, she's got a play here. She's doing something. But as these stories go on, I think she seems to be really on the up and up.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah. I almost got
I
this
think
impression that she was trying to manipulate her way into something, and now people are starting to see her value as a leader and are following up on that, and we see more of that in this next episode. So
Yeah, I think that they show her before all of this being like alone in her castle, being really miserable. And I feel like maybe this is just, she's also kind of just falling into the like, well, these people accepted me and I have no one, so I'm just going to roll with this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I thought in this episode I kind of got that impression, but at the end of this next episode we're going to talk about the pirate. I have some different kind of thoughts, and I think Sackhoff did some pretty good just non-vocal emoting acting, which kind of sealed it in for me at the end there. But we should
hang
move
on. Before we move off of the pirate,
Right.
Notes, thoughts,
Oh yeah.
or not the pirate, the Foundling. Sorry.
Foundling.
I think we covered it.
Okay. All right. So now we move to chapter 21, the pirate. And Pizza the Hut is once again back in the house. You know what? I initially immediately thought when Carl Weathers is talking to him via hologram, I was like, this guy looks way better as a hologram
Yeah, I
yeah,
thought
he
that
does.
too.
than he does as his Easter egg grass face.
So real quick, this will play into a little later when it happens, but a complaint I've been having in my own head with the show is that these communities, these towns, never feel like they're populated with a lot of people. And with the technology and computer graphics and AI that they have, you think that they could project or create more population to make it look like there's more people? Because in this episode, I feel there's 12 people that live in this town.
Oh, I know what you're talking about. When the survivors follow
Yeah.
grief,
And it's
out,
like, come on. It's like
It's
you
like
can't
there's
give me a little more.
there's 25 people with them, tops.
Well, some
I
people
wonder was
stayed
it supposed-
back because like
I
they were
was gonna
harassing
say-
that guy.
Well, yeah.
All right, fine.
They
26
didn't all
people.
escape. You know, it's interesting you say that because I was thinking, I was like, and it wasn't actually that scene that made me think of it. I thought of it when there was the establishing shot on the planet that had the rebel base later. But I was like, man, there's nothing for miles and miles and miles around this rebel base, just like every other place in every other planet. There's like one town with nothing for miles.
Right.
And I was like, is that just because there's like so many planets? Like we don't need that many people to be in any of these places? I was thinking about that. I was like, maybe it's intentionally there's not that many.
They're all on Coruscant.
Yeah. Like, why would I live on like out in the middle of nowhere when I could live there? And so almost nobody just live out in the middle.
Right.
Well, I got to say, when, again, being the middle-aged fanboy, when I saw that Y-wing fly in, I was like, oh man, chef's kiss.
I
And then
agree.
the X-wing comes in, and I'm like, oh yeah, this is the spot.
So let's
This
talk
is-
about that.
Did you see
spot.
that Y-wing that didn't have like the
fairings on it?
yeah, it's just like the toy. You could take the toy apart and take those off,
Yes.
and it was just like that. It was
So
really
that-
cool.
I'm sure that was on purpose.
Y-wing is my
They're going to come out with a new Y-wing to sell now.
that is my favorite starship fighter of all time. The Y-wing
Yeah.
of all things.
I remember you saying that.
But I'll tell you this. So we're at some kind of, actually it's kind of funny. I feel like it's a Top Gun bar.
A little bit.
And you got all the fly boys in there, and they're shooting their pool, and they're being cool. And we see, for me, was the coolest Easter egg of the entire season so far at the bar. Do you know what it was?
Zeb.
Lindsay?
Zeb.
Zeb.
Yes.
So
Lindsay's
was-
like, nope.
Zeb,
That was super cool.
it was great.
okay,
And he
yeah.
looked just like him. It was the
Zeb-
same voice.
He's the big purple guy who came to talk to
Oh.
Carson. He is a main character in Rebels.
And what's interesting about that character is that was the original design for Chewbacca, if I'm not
Yeah.
mistaken.
I recognize that alien species from the Jedi Fallen Order games because that's
Yes, yeah.
Cal's Jedi Master is that race. of
He's in
whatever
there,
that is.
yes.
So
But
That's not the same thing.
right, Ralph
But
McQuarrie.
they got-
Ralph McQuarrie designed that to be the original Chewbacca, and if you watch Rebels, there is that whole show is a Ralph McQuarrie callback. They do so much in that show
Yeah.
to bring back artwork and stuff, and like concept designs and stuff, that sketches that they make into stuff. It's such a cool like experience. If you take some time to like delve into like the Ralph McQuarrie stuff and then watch that show, it'll blow your mind as a Star Wars fan.
So
To see Zeb was like, I'm like, this is great. Which
as soon as
by
he
the way-
started talking, the same voice act, Steve Bloom
Yep.
is the voice actor, and I was like, that's freaking Zeb.
Yep. And now what does that tell you?
Zeb's coming back
And what does that mean?
in Ahsoka.
Exactly. These are
Yep.
all so many Ahsoka tie-ins.
Yeah.
Yeah. Let's take a step back, though. Before we get to this planet where the rebels are, we totally glossed over the fact that this pirate was bombarding.
Yeah.
Oh, yes.
You're right, of course. And by the way, as ridiculous as the pirate is, the Corsair he's flying, I think
love that.
That's
was
that's a really
really
nice
cool.
ship. Yeah.
really cool.
I
Great
was-
visuals. I mean, it just feels so real looking at this
Yeah.
stuff.
I know, because it's just like hanging there in the sky, but it looked fantastic. And then they just starts opening fire. But one thing I liked about when Carl Weathers was talking to him, you could see.
He was patting that.
Well, you could see when he was talking to the hologram. What is that?
This lady was running out of the town carrying one of these.
Really?
It's an old picnic or food carrier thing. It, like, opens up and has like these.
She was like, I'm not
canisters that
leaving.
split apart.
I'm not leaving my leftovers. You can't.
Yep, she was
take
not
them from
leaving her
me.
leftovers. That, or she was carrying money in it or something. Who knows? In Star Wars.
Oh, so
But
Star
I
Wars.
actually have one of these. This is exactly like the one that she had and was running out of
That's
town with.
hilarious. Of course
Okay,
you
You'll have to find a
And
picture
you
of
just
that,
had
Matt.
that right there.
do.
Oh well, he knew
I
he
actually
was gonna...
took one earlier. I'll send it to you.
Okay. Well, he
You
had
get
it
a better.
ready.
You get a better one later.
Wait, where else have we seen that before?
We haven't. I don't think.
No.
How did you happen to have one?
So when I was a kid, this is from the 70s. This beautiful piece of work here. And it
I've
comes in
seen
a
some like that are like thinner version. Same
yeah.
thing.
So it came in a kind of vinyl sleeve that was red, white, and blue striped, and it was like I think my mom had it for picnics, and I just kept it for nostalgia purposes all these years.
Oh, who would have guessed?
Look at that, and now
And it was
look
just
at
sitting out in my building, and I saw it the other day, and then I was like, "Hey, wait, that was in the Mando episode. I'm gonna go get that thing out."
It's just
Destiny.
like-
I did.
Destiny.
Now
just
it's part
like
of the
they-
collection.
It's just like they repurposed an ice cream maker
Yes.
and in Empire Strikes Back, and now it's a briefcase in The Mandalorian.
I mean, just think that silver thing sitting out there all this time, looking at your collection, going, "I wish I could be in there with those other toys." But it had no place, it had no reason. But now
it
it
must
has a
have
reason.
called Dave Filoni or somebody.
It's there.
That's-
That's amazing.
well-
It's crazy.
But so when, like I was saying before, when Carl Weathers is talking to Pizza the Hut,
Uh-huh.
I like that behind Carl Weathers you could see the ship, like floating above the city.
Mhm.
I just thought that was nice framing. And
Was.
like I said, the Pirate King looks way better in a hologram than he does.
Yeah.
It's straight up live
A lot of
action.
choices there.
Oh, I thought it looked for me. I thought it looked a little bit better in daylight than it did at night, or like in
Yeah, the
space.
lighting looked better this time. It made
I
it
think
look
so.
less
Although
moist.
Yeah.
Moist.
The green didn't. It still stood out, but it wasn't as. I
Although-
guess some of the other bright colors kind of matched it or something. I don't know.
I
It
thought
seems so
that
stark.
the Mr. Smee Ugnaught was just a tad on the nose.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Wearing the striped sweater and everything, just like
Yeah.
Mr. Smee from Peter Pan. I was
Yeah, you're
like,
right.
and of course they're all talking, "Hey, matey, what are you doing, matey?"
Yeah, and his ship, it is like a wheel.
Oh, the
The
wheel.
wheel.
Yeah.
I know.
Steer.
I know.
It's okay. So the pirates were probably my least favorite. I mean, the pirate characters were my least favorite aspect of this episode.
They're a
thought
little silly.
I thought this was probably maybe a bridge too far. Just like we're really dipping down into almost prequel goofiness at this point.
Yeah. But
Um,
it does probably play very well to kids this episode.
Oh well,
So,
sure, but
Yeah.
it's and there's stuff in this episode I really like. So there's something for everybody. But the pirates, and again, I gotta bring up just the cheapness of some of the masks, and like the Trandoshan, he's drinking, the Bosk guy.
Yeah.
I mean, they animated his eyes, so they're blinking, but
Nothing. Yeah.
he's literally like drinking something, but his mouth just doesn't move because it's a freaking mask. He's just like, "Ah."
Somebody posted a great picture on Facebook earlier when the Mandalorians are being featured. When they captured, I'll try and find it. If I can find it, I'll show you guys. They captured the back of a Mandalorian's head,
Oh, I saw this.
and one of the helmet is really just kind of like it's only like goes like this far back, and there's a strap.
And the rest is a strap.
So it's
Wow.
like it's really like
Hey, listen.
I get it.
Hey, save that picture because they're gonna probably fix it digitally here.
You're 100%
next
right.
couple of
I
days.
guarantee
You don't
we'll-
know. You don't know that Mandalorian didn't say, "I just need the strap on the back." You don't know what species it is. Maybe he's got his own
Mandalorian
armor
needed a
back
strap
there.
on the back.
Oh my god!
I did-
I didn't
I did
mean
not-
to.
I did not say anything about that, but anyway.
You know what? My
Whoa.
point.
What is this? I can't see it very well, but it's.
I'll try and blow it up more. Hold on, give me a second. For you at home listening, I'm sorry, but you have
This
to
is-
bear with us
This
here.
is
I can-
great stuff.
I could edit
This looks
this
like
out.
something
Maybe
out
you
of
just-
this looks like something out of Mad Max. That's the back of a Mando helmet.
Oh yeah.
Oh
Like,
yeah,
that almost looks like
Oh, yeah.
Bane.
it's like
You
leather.
could totally just act like that was intentional.
I think that's in universe enough looking, but it is no. They have the full helmet. I get it.
But anyways, so Grief records a help message, and it gets to Captain Carson, who's
Yes.
our resident X-wing patrol ranger out there that we
Mhm.
see so often now.
They
And,
call him Blue. I guess Blue is like a term for cops
it's
because
gotta be.
everybody
Yeah.
calls him Blue.
And he makes it very quickly, mind you, from the Outer Rim in an X-wing to Coruscant, which apparently only takes a few minutes.
That's everything in this freaking show, though. Like
Of course,
the transportation times are
It's time
they
compressed.
don't matter.
Man, they fast travel quick in this show. And
But
Yeah,
even
they do.
so,
But we do see a pretty amusing New Republic bureaucracy moment there.
Tim Meadows.
Yes.
Tim
That's pretty
Meadows.
great.
The
The
ladies,
ladies'
man.
man. The ladies' man. Oh, yeah, get out. That's nasty. What are you doing here?
Can I buy you a fish sandwich?
He is, but even he's not really being actively funny, but he's funny in that he just seems like put out and
Yeah.
annoyed.
Yes.
Like that R2 unit just dumps crap all over his desk, and he's like,
That was funny.
So it does seem weird that in Star Wars we seem to not trust, like this method of communication we have now, where maybe Carson Teva could have maybe called Coruscant and saved
Well, they
himself.
were ignoring him. Remember?
Is that
They're
what he
ignoring
said?
him. Yeah, I think they're
Oh,
saying like
yeah.
they got like a backlog of calls and they're
Okay, well
ignoring
that
him.
makes sense. Okay, I stand corrected then. So,
But it's interesting to me though that it all goes through. This man says he's just requisitions.
Yeah.
So I feel like couldn't this former rebel pilot be like, "Hey, the leadership of the New Republic, not just the requisitions guy."
Well,
yeah,
you
you
know-
don't have to stop at the DMV.
Guys,
Right.
We've all worked for the big companies. We know how departments work.
Yeah, we also know how to
Yeah.
jump. You shouldn't, but you know how to jump them to get to
I know.
who you really need to
And
talk
you
to.
have to wonder this whole time, Carl Weathers is hanging out in a cave with
Right.
his 25 townspeople just waiting for something to happen. Like, okay, well, I guess somebody's going to come and help us.
Yeah,
Right, how
so
long
he's
was
like
that?
totally lying to them. Oh yeah, help's on its way.
Yeah.
He didn't have a clue,
Well,
man.
Did they bring stuff to sleep in? Did they bring stuff to eat?
Well,
How long was it?
so
Well, you can carry a lot in one of these things.
There's people.
She's feeding all of them. with
She's
that.
ready for
Yeah.
the picnic.
Well, I mean, there's only 25, so I mean,
So we see a familiar face in the colonel's office.
Mhm.
She pops in. Eliza Kane is back, and she is still up to no good. Can I get you something from the commissary?
There aren't a New Republic planet. Just so you know.
Yeah,
It's so obvious. To me.
but it's funny how like Carson looks down at her imperial number, and
Mhm.
he's like,
The amnesty
he's
badge.
instantly like, why don't you get out of here?
Yeah.
And which that's another just little interesting detail I like about this. It's like those people, the people who were granted amnesty, you just see like the casual prejudice, I guess, of people who
Yeah.
are in the New Republic, like, hey, why don't you get out of here, you imperial scumbag? I don't want to hear anything you have to say. But
It's interesting to me though. There was no inquiry about why Pershing's brain is fried and he's probably
Yeah.
got.
hey,
You
she's
up
right
there
back.
now?
She's right back at work.
I
Yeah,
was just
like,
in the room. I didn't know it was at 11.
I asked to specifically to stay behind while he was alone, but it wasn't me.
I get the impression that the New Republic doesn't have their crap together right now.
Well, no wonder
No.
the first order is just like,
Well,
here we go.
But
Right, so-
it's a nice payoff from chapter 19.
Yes.
If you think about it, because we kind of dogged that episode a little bit, and it's a nice payoff from that.
Carson is a good vehicle for this show to move the plot kind of along, because really the Mandalorian is the action, but it's kind of ignoring the darker, bigger plot of the whole overarching show here. And that's where Carson's coming in, and he's trying to tell people, he's like, there's something happening right now
Yeah.
that you're not seeing that you need to know about.
yeah,
And-
he says in the show, the Empire is coming back.
Yeah. And they dismiss it going, well, those warlords like Moff Gideon, they're gone. But
I have thoughts on
You have
Moff
thoughts.
Gideon.
okay.
Okay, it
So
seems to me.
let's get to Moff
Okay.
Gideon a little later.
Oh, okay. Well, we'll save Moff Gideon then.
Yeah.
Um,
But so we kind of jump back, and Captain Carson has located the Mandalorian enclave in Land of the Lost through kind of a questionable way. So
I agree with that.
with R5.
with R5,
Yes.
Yeah.
because I kind of always look. I know R5. I guess he was part of the rebellion, as we find out, but I was kind of
when?
figured he was
How?
just kind of always on Tatooine, bumming around, and wound up in the starport. But I guess he was much more involved, and then wound up back at the same damn dirty planet, and that's where his fate was. But so he used R5's something transponder to locate the planet and lands and bothers everybody.
Mhm.
And
Bothers everybody.
and Din Djarin comes out and he's like, I know him. He saved me once. I owe him something. And they have a conversation, and obviously that's when they find out. I do like how this is going. He was seated kind of in the first episode where Grief Karga was telling him, he's like, why don't you just retire, man? I got a great piece of land over there for you.
Mhm.
And this does kind of start to pay off in this, where Din's like, hey, look, we don't have to live in this cave, guys, where
Mhm.
giant croc turtles and dragon bats come and try and get us. We can actually go and live in a normal place. And they come up with a plan.
It does
Yeah.
feel like the first time that Din Djarin moves the plot along in a few episodes.
I agree.
Yeah.
And they
Like
had
it-
that kind of hammer moment where he has the hammer so he can speak, and he tries to plead his case to help
I
Grief
like
Karga.
that.
I do
It
too.
does feel like, in a way that I don't necessarily mind, it does feel like this is Bo-Katan's show.
It's
more
really
so at
felt
kind
that
of
too.
become that. It's really kind of
Yeah.
edged over to that. I agree.
And I don't hate it, but it does feel, I'm like this, it feels like Din Djarin has not done much.
Well,
I think
she is
there's
a Mandalorian too. The Mandalorian.
Yeah.
Is the
I
Mandalorian
think-
really about Din Djarin?
well,
Or the
I there's still a couple episodes
Right.
left, so I think old Din is going to step up and do something here in a
Use the
few.
sword, trip, drop it.
Well, you
Drop the sword.
So they come up with a plan to go help Grief, and
I thought it was really cool that Paz Vizsla, he steps
That
up
was
there,
great.
takes the mic. Why should we even do this? And then
because
He was,
we're
I tell you what.
Mandalorians.
Yeah,
That's what we
that's
do.
good.
And
but
good
that
speech.
group is very sketchy
Yeah.
because that group with him was like, as he's saying, why should we help this? And they're all like, yeah, what the hell should we help these people?
Yeah,
And then all
these
of a sudden-
guys are jerks.
Then he says,
they've
we're
known him a
Mandalorians. Then
lot
they're all
longer
like,
than they've
oh
probably known
yeah.
everybody else.
They turned
I feel
very
like-
quick in the wind, that group.
Yeah, I feel like he was setting them up though to like feel ashamed for feeling like they agreed with him at first. Like,
I don't
oh
disagree,
yeah,
but
you thought you agreed with me? You shouldn't.
But it's funny that group turns too quick. I wouldn't trust them anywhere. But but we do. The sequence retaking the planet was kind of cool. I thought
Oh,
it was
yeah.
pretty cool.
That was
Yeah.
cool. When they're in the
Was.
drop ship, and
Yeah.
the things open and they fly out.
Yeah.
And that whole sequence where they're fighting the Corsair and the smaller fighters, the snub fighters, that was like top notch
Yeah.
stuff.
Oh
Mhm.
yeah, it was beautifully done and just
Great
the-
action.
Yeah, and even here we're going to use you as a diversion, and and the whole military plan seemed really good too.
Yeah.
And we got to see some the N1 starfighter really shine.
Yeah,
And apparently thank goodness we may be done with Pizza the Hut.
he did. he's
Yeah.
he's burnt to a crisp.
That was a great crash sequence too when that thing
Oh,
went down.
when it went
Good.
down, yeah, it was
Yeah.
awesome.
It
But
was- it's so good. looking.
his lame lieutenant with the bad mask did get away. Hey, it's
He
been a
failed.
pleasure, but I'm out of here. Well,
I'm not that loyal to you. I'm out of here.
yeah.
Yeah.
So anyway, we've destroyed the pirates. We've
26 people came from the wilderness back out of hiding to reclaim their city. And
Sunburnt,
well then
but alive.
we get
Grief
Grief
feeds
Karga.
them some land.
Yes, which was a nice touch. And he had I think Carl Weathers did a nice job there at the end. He has a little speech that he says, and he goes, you don't have to run. This is your home now. this is where you can stay. And, they all sort of give him the thank you,
Mm-hmm.
respect.
How about the armor taking out the entire high
Oh, yeah.
magistrate office of
That was a great
pirates
sequence.
all by herself?
Yeah, again, the armor rules. She just
Yeah.
walks. She just walks in there with her hammer and bam,
You know,
bam, bam.
I looked up that actress, by the way,
Emily Swallow.
and she doesn't. Her face is not dissimilar to kind of like how that helmet is. Like you see
Oh,
her, and
wow.
you're like, I could see her wearing that helmet.
Yeah.
She's pretty cool. She's
She
actually
does a lot of Emily Swallow. She does a lot of those.
like, come on, like, let's get her in focus here. This
Oh,
is
yeah.
the way.
Oh, I can hear her voice.
This is the way. That's.
with that.
I mean,
with
come
that
on.
face.
She
Yeah.
she does a lot of the conventions and everything, and she's really she's one of those actors that's really embraced the role and
It's
Mhm.
great.
loves it.
Cool.
That's cool. So in the end, the Mandalorians have a home, which is beneficial to Grief because now he has a very strong military unit living next door in case anybody comes back.
Mhm.
Exactly.
And we see the armorer has refound her cavernous
Oh, the
forge.
sewer. The
And
sewer.
I liked her speech about how on Mandalore the forge was there, and they have a nice little moment. Bo-Katan and her, and she's like, "But a forge is a forge; does the same thing." But then we get kind of like a right turn, which I was actually
Mhm.
surprised. The armorer goes to Bo-Katan and asks her, "Do you respect my station?" And she's like, "Yeah." She's like, "Take your helmet off."
Yeah, it felt like a trap, man.
It felt like a trap,
I
right?
so was like, don't
Like,
do
yep.
it.
Don't do it. Don't do it.
What
It's
are
a
you
trap.
doing?
I think.
But
Oh.
hold on. Before we now, the armor has been Creed heavy.
Hold
She
on.
is.
Can you guys still see me?
Yeah.
Where we
I've
going?
lost my visual. Can you?
Oh.
You can see me?
Yes, you're walking around your place.
Well, I don't know what happened, but I can't see you.
Can you hear us?
I can hear you.
Oh, we
Oh,
lost her.
no.
No. We'll get it back. I'll wait for her to come back, and I'll
Okay,
do
we'll
a
continue.
cut. We'll
Yeah.
wait.
Will the link still work?
Same show.
Okay.
Oh, it's funny.
Here, I'll text her.
Oh, man. I
Yeah.
can't believe I had this thing.
That's great. That
What?
picture. Dude, gets
Oh,
focused.
yeah.
Dude, that is amazing. So amazing that you had that. Of course, you had that of all people. It's amazing, and the fact that it's now part of Star Wars lore, just like the.
I know. How much
So-
value? This thing probably wasn't worth jack crap. Now it probably has some value to it.
They're going to
my
be
God.
selling it in Galaxy's Edge for like $75.
I mean, think about it.
Exactly.
If that's from the '70s, it's like how many survive? It looks like it's in pretty good condition too.
Yeah.
So, I mean, that's mint, man. That's Star Wars mint.
I was going to put it on my shelf back here, but it was just a little too tall.
Yeah, it's
Just
big.
like half an inch.
Is it sturdy? Could you make it into like a piece of a table or something like that?
Nah, I don't know if it's that sturdy. It's I mean, it's pretty sturdy, but I don't
You
know.
don't want to mess it up. It's
No.
all right.
I'll display it somewhere. Be like, this was used in The Mandalorian. It's screen accurate because they use the exact model.
And that's why they have herpes in that
My
town.
battery died.
Yeah.
I mean,
she
they
gets
did.
around.
I mean,
I,
the
not
clap,
Lynn's,
the
not
clap,
Lynn's.
the clap, the
Hey,
clap, the clap.
hey.
Oh, no,
It's a lot
no,
darker
no.
now in that room.
No.
I
And-
had to sacrifice the plug that my light was in
All right.
Oh,
for my laptop.
because we saw you walking around, you were like, "Okay, I can't see you, but
I was like, my freaking laptop's about to die. I'm sorry.
Okay.
that's okay."
Did you hear me say, why can't I be a professional? Because that was the last
No,
thing
I think it died by then.
Ah,
Just so
sorry.
I think we're over an hour now, Matt. I'm sorry.
It's all right. It's all
I
right.
got back pretty quick.
We're almost at the end here.
Okay.
Okay, you ready?
Yeah.
We're jumping back in. This will be a cut. 3, 2. Your lights off. Lindsay.
It's back. It's back. It's not back. I'm back.
Okay.
Don't worry about it.
Okay.
What the heck?
I've
The,
reset I set the mood in my.
Okay.
Okay, yeah, it's
Okay, so
Moonlighting.
guys, so we're just talking about it kind of felt like a trap when Bo-Katan was asked to take her helmet off. And
yes.
and I'm like, oh man, it's like she's setting her up. Okay, so guys, I have now this is all kinds of out there, who knows. But the armorer has been very true to her word. She has kept the enclave together. She is a leader of the group. She is a true dyed-in-the-wool believer. But what if she's setting up Bo-Katan to be the fall guy, and the armorer wants to take over Mandalore,
Oh, interesting.
and
Theory.
is
I
going to
don't
use
know about that.
her to get to the mythosaur, and then maybe try to make a move. Because remember, she is still Death Watch, and she may have tried to bring the Mandalorians together in some form, but they have been a very strict, like by their book kind of Mandalorian, and that's how all Mandalorians have been. So I don't know. I have this kind of gut feeling that the armorer might not be as honorable in the end of this show as we thought she was. But we'll see.
Interesting. I did not.
That wouldn't surprise me at this point.
Just as
Because I do get
twist.
this weird vibe off of her, especially since, having Bo-Katan take off her helmet seems a little bit out of character for her to ask.
And she sets her up because she marches Bo-Katan out without the helmet, and she sets it up, the
Yep.
armorer, that Bo-Katan walks in both worlds, and she can reunite the Mandalorians. The armorer is telling this narrative, not Bo-Katan being, the inspiration, but the armorer is dictating this plan to everybody.
It felt I think you could totally be right, but to me that felt like she needed to set it up in order for them to accept her not
Now,
wearing her helmet.
I'm sure that's it.
Otherwise,
Yeah.
they would not have listened to anything.
I'm not
Mhm.
buying into the armorer being a bad guy yet. This is just kind of
Okay.
like
That's an
just a theory.
interesting
Yeah.
I think
But I'll tell you real quick. I'm sorry. At the end where Bo-Katan is sitting there, and people are kind of clapping and accepting it, and you kind of see her, and it kind of goes back to when she was kind of talking with Din Djarin in the caverns on Mandalore about when she was a kid, and how her sister was always taking it serious, and how she was just kind of going through the motions for her dad. I kind of get the impression that she's understanding now that this is her job. I kind of got that kind of connection, the way she was receiving the information and standing there and being in the center of this attention at the end.
Yeah. I think
She's taking that station on herself finally in her entire life. She's taking on in her mind that I am the leader of Mandalore and I needed to do this.
I thought at the end of episode or chapter 20 that with her having the two different signets kind of foreshadowed this walking in two worlds thing. I mean, maybe not that's not what each of those signets necessarily stood for,
Right.
but it kind of, I don't know, it kind of foreshadowed that to me, that something was going to happen like
Definitely.
that.
Well, I like your theory about the armorer, but sometimes, and one thing I've kind of noticed about this show is that pretty much for the entire run of the show, we as fans like to speculate and have our theories, but this show is pretty much straight ahead.
I agree.
What you see is what you get, and I think maybe that's Favreau sort of doing his, sort of boiling it down and simplifying it in the style of George Lucas, maybe.
Mhm.
You're not setting yourself up for a lot of twists and turns, but at the same time, this show can and has surprised me in the past. So, I'll be interested to see if, and I think your theory, Matt, I think it holds some water, because it is weird that she would just say, "Hey, take your helmet off."
Yeah,
And
'cause
Bo-Katan is not. She's obviously uncomfortable.
Mhm.
she's like, I just got in with you guys.
Yeah.
Mess it up. I feel like if it isn't that theory is correct, I do like that this armorer is like kind of seeing the wisdom of allowing them to merge and like be open-minded to the fact that other people might not be following the way that they do.
Mhm.
I think that I would need a little more of that than just a scene where she's like, you saw him at the store, so
Right.
you're cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And if it is Matt's theory, that's very interesting. I think
But
You
this
know, the
is not
armor
the-
did have some time to chew on that too. To chew
just
on
wish I had
hearing the story
seen-
about the mythosaur.
Yeah, I just wish I had seen, because she's so strict about it. This season, we saw how strict she was with Din and like taking his helmet off, and he had to go all the way to Mandalore and do all this stuff.
Yeah.
And now she's like, whatever, I guess.
Din has to
Like-
be pissed off too. He's like, "Are you kidding me?"
He's like, what?
But
I
Well-
but they all know that Bo-Katan doesn't believe it the way they do, and so I like that they would be more open-minded to like merging with the other Mandalorians that don't agree with them. But I don't know that I've seen enough that
Yeah.
I believe that the armorer would be that cool with it just from that so
Right.
far.
But this is not the end of the episode yet. We've got one final,
Oh,
pretty
yeah.
great scene.
Oh yeah.
Oh,
Yeah, it
okay.
is.
Yes. So again, we get a nice shot of an X-wing in space. Oh, yeah.
so
Thank
good.
you.
It's so good.
Thank you. I love it. We come upon another great original trilogy ship that's floating there in the darkness, a Lambda shuttle.
Wrecked.
Totally wrecked.
Okay, so Matt, I know you're going to get this right away. When they sent the probe over,
Which, by the way, love the probe.
okay,
Yes.
so
Yeah.
Another
so
that was an R7 unit, so they've really upgraded since R2.
okay, well, tell me, Matt, immediately what you thought of as this thing was scanning the ship.
I don't know. What am I supposed to think?
With the beam and the laser.
What is it like?
Well, looks like there goes our salvage rights. Looks
We
like
got
she's
alien?
alive.
yeah,
Aliens.
alien.
The
Oh, yeah,
beginning
the-
of
the kind-
Aliens. It's
Yeah.
the same exact thing.
That's true. That's true.
Okay, so here's my thoughts on this, and I'll wrap it up because we're getting late. Okay, so Moff Gideon, pretty important political prisoner.
Yeah.
No one seems to know where the hell he is,
Yeah,
or
And
even
they're
if he got,
all
Right?
even if
keeping
he
it-
got, or even if he got to where he was going or had a trial. No one can seem to tell anybody this.
Yeah.
And
And it's
all
classified.
top secret classified, yeah.
So obviously they broke him out of prison. They blew apart the shuttle. They
Right.
extracted him. And so there's a piece of evidence left behind.
I think we're going to find out, though, that Kane probably set this whole thing up.
Well, we
to
do know
extract him.
we found some Beskar implanted in
Yes.
the wall, and we do know that that Bo-Katan's Mandalorian crew did go Merc and left her.
Yes.
So we have to assume that it's that crew being hired to bust him out.
It's possible.
Yeah.
And
Mhm.
I mean,
Isn't
I don't.
it also? Well, I
Right.
guess only the Mandalorians can forge stuff out of Beskar, right? Because there's just Beskar and bricks
yeah, like
available
like
for people to.
yeah, like
that
the
use
silver
currency,
bars
kind
and
of.
stuff.
The
Yeah.
living
Yeah.
water helps cure the Beskar
Right.
to be what it is.
So no
If-
one else is really making
Right.
armor or weapons out
So
of it.
just so maybe I missed it. So the whole Moff Gideon thing is top secret classified. That's why nobody talks about it.
Seems like it.
Okay,
Yeah.
because no one can seem to tell me if this high profile political prisoner even got a trial. Like
Right.
nobody seems to know that.
Right. Right.
Like
The level of bureaucracy,
they don't
red
have court
tape,
TV in hyperspace.
there's
Um,
like layers on layers on the New Republic bureaucracy, it seems like.
Yeah.
How many
Yeah.
more episodes do we have of this?
3.
3.
Okay, 3. We have a lot of things to figure out, and now we might not get all the answers in this season, but we know that there was a powerful post-imperial force that was around Mandalore
Mhm.
that attacked Bo-Katan and Din Djarin. They don't know where all that force came from. All the TIE fighters and the TIE bombers, etc.
Mhm.
You could make assumptions that Moff Gideon has something to do with it, or you could make an assumption that Thrawn is coming back.
Mhm.
You've got the mystery of Moff Gideon that has to be resolved, and I guess they're setting up for next season to retake Mandalore, unless they do it in one episode.
Oh my
Because
God.
that's one thing the armor
That'd be
said is like,
nuts.
we need to retake Mandalore, which means I guess they want to go back to the planet because they know it's, I guess it's
habitable. It's
so there's
in
a lot to
ruins,
happen in
but,
3
yeah.
episodes here.
Well, I don't think it's going to be 3 episodes, but
No.
I will say I'm happy now. I mean, I feel like for the first time as we're doing the show and talking about it, the story has forward motion.
Yeah.
Like it's
Yeah.
now it's going somewhere. But why does this happen when we have 3 episodes left?
It's true.
I mean,
Pacing problems.
a little bit, but it's fine. I mean, how am I going to complain about watching new Star Wars every Wednesday
awesome.
morning?
Right?
It's fantastic.
So
I mean,
just
it was
tell
a
me to
long wait
shut
in
up.
between Mandalorian. It was
Shut
about
up.
a year and a half before we got this season. So
Yeah.
enjoying.
Well, so we're going to have to wrap it up there, guys. We've had a supersized episode because we had to talk about 2, but we're going to be back with you next week to talk about chapter 22, whatever that may be called. Chapter 22, The Moth. Maybe? I don't know. Maybe not. But we appreciate you tuning in and watching or listening to the show every week. And we encourage you to share the show. Leave us a review. Tell your friends. If they like Star Wars, come give us a try. We know you have many choices, and we thank you for choosing the hyperspace. So we're going to wrap it up here. And guys, we will see you next week. May the Force be with you, and we'll see you next time. Hey, that's wrong. That's wrong.
Hey.
You know you can't live without this content, so subscribe to The Hyperspace, podcasting in the 25th century. Follow us on social media, leave us a review, and join us here next time as we take you into the 25th century.